Today what I'm going to teach you guys is how to repair a damaged ceiling that has the popcorn texture on it, like the one in this picture here. You can see this one's got pretty extensive damage, and when we come back I'm going to teach you how to put this all back together. Alright, welcome back to my channel here at That Kilted Guy Videos, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We have a lot of popcorn ceiling texture in this area, which is actually called acoustical ceiling texture, but everybody knows it as cottage cheese texture or popcorn ceiling. So we're going to call it that. And this customer has decided that instead of having us get rid of the rest of what's on this ceiling, they're just going to have us put it back together for economy. This is a rental. They don't want to spend a whole lot. So if you've got something like that, you don't want to get rid of it, you just want to put it back together, well, we're going to show you how to do that. But first, before I get into the video, I got a little information for you guys. If you could check this out about our website. If you want to skip this, go ahead. I'll try and put a time marker here where you can skip to, but it really helps us if you guys can support our channel efforts by visiting our website, becoming a Patreon member, and just generally subscribing, clicking that bell icon, and liking our videos and commenting. But if you're going to subscribe, you see the little illustration here. It shows you where the subscribe button is. Be sure and click that bell icon. That way, every time I put out a new video, you'll get a notification of it and you won't miss any. And on our website, I'm going to scroll some information here off to the side as to what kind of information is on there for you. There's a lot of good stuff on there for you that I think you'll like. So I hope you'll go check that out. While that's going, we're going to go ahead and get into this. So I'm going to have to point this camera up at an odd angle. We're just in a little bedroom here, and so you may only see my head in the picture or something, but we're going to go ahead and show you the steps that are necessary to fix one. This one's been damaged quite a bit. It had a big water leak on the ceiling. They cut out 3 sheets here, and someone else put this back. This isn't my work. I don't do this sloppy of work, honestly, but again, they're trying to save money. They had somebody do it cheap for them. Now they know they've used me several times on this building. They know I'll put it back together and it'll look like brand new again. We'll go ahead and get started on that. Okay, you can see in this video we got a couple of issues to deal with here. We got the popcorn on one side, new drywall, and the other, a big wide gap that they left. That one's pretty nasty. And then we have all this torn brown paper. Now, I've got a separate video just about repairing this torn brown paper, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the basic rundown on it here, because you can't just coat over this with regular drywall mud. So you have to prep it, and basically the way we prep it is get anything that's loose on here off. If you see, it's probably hard to see in the video, but that little piece of paper there, that's loose. We want to peel off all the loose pieces so that it's mostly the stuck pieces. We hope to get them all. And then once you feel like you've got all that done, what I usually do is I like to cut around the edge, because you see how this has been lifted. If you just try and tear that off, it usually lifts a little bit further each time, and you just keep chasing it. So if you take and cut it like I'm going to show you, peel back to the cut, then it'll stop clean, and that's good. So then the next step will be scraping the popcorn off around this joint, and I just use a 6-inch knife. You shouldn't need water, but you might if it's stuck really good. This has been painted. Normally you need water, but if you can get behind it like this, a lot of times you can scrape it well enough without water on these repairs. So I usually like to scrape it back about 16 to 18 inches, because when you float this out, you're going to have to coat it at least 12 inches out here so it may go even a little bit further to get that hump to go away. The popcorn will hide it pretty well, but we still have to make that hump go away. And then we have to also feather this outside edge. And we do that by tilting our knife, bending our blade, and going around the edges. And just kind of giving that a soft feathered edge so it's not this hard, sharp edge, because that, once we spray new texture, that's going to give away the repair area. So I'm going to go ahead and prep this, and then I'll come back and show you where we're at, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm back, and I've got to move fairly quickly because I have a pan full of 20-minute hot mud. I probably have about 17 minutes of working time here. You can see what I've done so far. I've prepped all the brown paper like I showed in my other video on torn brown paper, and then I coated it with my product RX35, and then I made sure I got all the screws set properly. Let's see, I pre-filled all these deeper spots with some 5-minute hot mud. It should be setting up here any minute, and I've got some mesh tape on, so I think we're ready at this point to go ahead and put the rest of the mesh tape on here and then put a coat on everything. So I will go ahead and do that now. I'm not sure what all shows in the video here because I'm using my iPhone. What I do especially when I've pre-filled, is I use a little spray adhesive. And I do this for several reasons. One is this ceiling is often chalky and dusty and the mesh tape doesn't really want to stick. Two is by pre-filling I've made it moist, so it really doesn't want to stick, but with a little spray adhesive the mesh tape will stick. Handy little mesh tape dispenser. Cost me like $25 or $30, but it's great for these jobs. Okay, I got some of the hot mud done, but I ran out. I mix it up by the pan. And if you want to know how to mix this up quick and easy when you're mixing up a full pan like that, look up my how to mix up hot mud fast video, I think it is, and I show you a cool little trick. Plus, I tell you a few secrets and tips about hot mud on my other video about hot mud versus all-purpose. I'll explain the difference between them, when you should use one and when you shouldn't. So check those out if you need that information. Basically, I'm ready to go ahead and finish coating these joints right here. I'll go ahead and cheat and get on my step stool for this one. I mixed my mud up a little extra thick by accident. Just know that when you're finishing for this popcorn texture, you actually don't have to do as good a job because this stuff will hide quite a bit, but you still got to get it basically flat and make any humps that might be existing be a smooth, gentle hump so that it doesn't come through. And this is just the first coat, remember, so we'll probably put one more coat of hot mud on here, do a little minor touch up and spray this thing. I'm using a 14-inch knife today on this part because in order to make an abrupt hump go away, you have to coat it wider and make that hump gradual. If that hump suddenly you just coat it like that, it's going to show even through this stuff. This one, this is an actual recessed joint. I could get by with an 8-inch. I didn't bring one up. I don't like to dirty too many knives when I'm doing hot mud, but I'll coat it a little bit narrower using my 12-inch, which I just happen to have up here. Okay, I think that's basically it for this coat. It's 20-minute mud, so probably in about 15 minutes I can come in here and put another coat on the areas I need to. Put a second coat on the other side of the angles over there. And then we'll be much closer, almost ready to spray this. Okay, this coat of 20-minute has set up. You can see it's still soft, but it's dry enough to, or it's set up enough to the touch that we can go ahead and put another coat of mud on this. Now, before I do that, I'm going to give you a couple little pointers. If you work with hot mud and if you get any of these areas that need sanded off, you think, like see that one drooped a little bit right there, you can't sand it off because it's wet, right? But all you got to do is stand your knife up and just drag it across it. And it's soft, so it shaves the high points right off. Just like that, I have smoothed those out enough to go ahead and put another coat on. So I will go ahead and put a coat on this, and I think after this coat it might need a little bit of touch up, and then we can go ahead and spray. Now we're going to have to spray the ceiling and the walls. That's two different kinds of texture, so I'll show you how we do that. Now when you're coating these things that are kind of bad like this, or not recessed, I like to put a straight edge on it, in this case my knife, and check it and see how much of a hump it has, so I know if I need to coat it very much lighter. And this one actually looks pretty good, so we're just going to go ahead and do a decent little coat on it. And they're often worse right back where it meets the wall, and this one is too, so here we go. something else I should go ahead and point out. When you've got one like this where it's a butt edge against a butt edge, and a repair especially, a lot of times you actually need to coat more to one side than the other. And that's kind of something we have an eye for and a feel for. But if you stick your knife up here before you start coating, you can sometimes tell that in this case it's pretty flat going that way, but then it kind of drops in over here, so I wanted to coat it wider this way. If it did the opposite, flat over to here, but it dropped away that way, I'd coat it wider on that side. So our joint is actually right about here, so you can see about 70% is going to the inside. You might see in the video there's some edges up there. I purposely left those because I can touch those up once this is set up with some regular mud, and then I don't wipe too much off and I get that float out that I want. Okay, as you can see, I've got everything ready to go. It's all touched up. All the major edges are touched up. I don't fix all the minor edges for this stuff. It will cover a multitude of sins, but you do have to get it flat, make the big humps go away, the deep spots, so on. We're all ready. We've mixed up our popcorn texture. This is a medium. There is fine, medium, and coarse. I'm gonna start spraying here. I'm just gonna show you some of it because I gotta get my camera out of here or I'll coat it. And so I'm gonna put this microphone down and I'll show you how I try and blend in the edge. You wanna not put too much over here on the old. You wanna try and do it fairly precise with just a slight blend over so that it evens out. You just gotta pay attention to how this looks and keep spraying this until it looks like that. Now, as far as how thick, what you want to do is mix this popcorn texture up in a bucket and mix it pretty thin. It's going to be pretty soupy. And basically what I can tell you is if you get it too thin, it's not going to cover well. It's going to drip off the ceiling even, things like that. So get it thick enough where it easily pours into the hopper and flows down through the hopper, but not too thin where it wants to run out and drip and things like that. So again, that's one of the things you got to play with. So I think we will fire up and go ahead and do this. Okay, for spraying this, you want the bigger nozzle on one of these. This is the one that has a cone on it and it's got a great big opening. So pretty much want your biggest nozzle, and generally pretty much wide open air. You want a lot of air because this stuff is kind of bulky, takes a lot to blow it up there, and it's going to be very messy. You're going to come out looking like you got some kind of disease, so if that bothers you, you might want to wear a face mask and so on. Okay, as you can see, all the popcorn is sprayed. You want to try and get it on fairly evenly. Now let's look over the transition. And I think that's going to transition well. Now I want to point out, when you spray this stuff, normally you get it all over the wall. I've masked down a little bit, but I had to repair up there. So what you do is you simply take a mud knife and scrape it off. And I'll see if I can show you that. Okay, so all you do is just simply scrape up the wall And you just go around and do all that all the way around, and that'll clean that up, and it leaves a nice clean transition up there. Well, hey, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope that helped you out. If you got any questions, be sure and ask them in the comments. I try and answer questions down there. And you'll notice some other things popping up here. If you want to check those out, I would really appreciate it. That helps our channel grow. And until the next video, we'll catch you guys then.